Hi, I'm Christina. Pleased to meet you at last. I want to talk to you a little bit about the background of colour therapy and where I began, because colour therapy truly is what opened me up to being able to embrace the energies of Luxor light. Way back in 1997, a new door opened for me. I had my own New Age crystal shop. It's just a little bookstore in my hometown here of Dongra, and it was my baby, and I knew that it was going to take me where I wanted to go. Although back then I didn't want to go anywhere other than my little crystal shop. It was just everything to me. It was just perfect. I needed to be in town really until my daughter reached high school, at which time I thought I'd probably move to the city so the kids could have a better education. But really, I was so in love with my little business, I was quite happy to do this for the rest of my life. It fulfilled me, within me, something that really had been missing for quite some time. But one day, a Reiki master walked into my shop. He wasn't local, he was from out of town, and he offered to buy me out. He and his astrologer wife were planning to move to town and had the idea that they would open a New Age shop. But they were not silly. They knew that the town was not big enough for 2 New Age shops. So they decided that they would offer to buy my business from me. That was just, in my mind, that was not going to happen. This was my baby. I'd only had the business for less than a year, and I was still jumping with joy every time I got up in the morning that, this was it. I loved it. People used to come into the shop. It became like a little drop-in centre for everyone that was really missing having somewhere to go where they could get fed, I guess, a little bit of their spiritual hunger, and from there they would go on and do other things, and it was really nice. They'd come in on the days when my stock would be in, and it was like Christmas, everybody be opening things and claiming things before they went into the cabinets, and it was great. It was really great. Really loved those days. But a real bonus for me was that my mum also worked in the shop with me, and that's something that I'll never forget. We had that special time, and she looked after the shop for me when I at that time used to work in the kindergarten as well. So I would do 2 or 3 days, I can't remember, at the kindergarten, and Mum would do the other 2 or 3 days. The shop was open 6 days a week, so we shared until the end of the year when I could leave the kindergarten and move full-time into the shop. It's a long story, but prior to that, I had been, I felt like something was missing, and my husband and my 2 children at the time, we had been travelling around Australia. Really, we had uprooted because, I just felt there was something else, and so we had uprooted and we travelled for 12 months with a tiny little caravan. The 2 kids, Claire was 6 and Grant was 4. Taylor came much later. And we travelled around Australia, and along the way I kept, coming across things that would spark my spiritual hunger, I suppose. But in the end we came full circle, and we came back to Dongra, and we built another house, and when we first came back I managed a caravan park, and then moved into working in the childcare centre and the kindergarten, until one day it just, a thought just popped into my head. And this is what I really want to encourage with people, is these thoughts that pop into our head. Don't ever ignore them. They are true inspiration from the divine. And this thought popped into my head, said, I'm going to open a shop. At the time I had been exploring crystals and selling crystals and jewellery with one of those, those businesses where you come into people's homes and, that party plan, that's the one. Anyway, I was doing that. And crystals were a part of that. And that sort of sparked my hunger. And I wanted to know more. And so I decided to start selling crystals and New Age books in the markets. And then one day, I just had this thought. I was in the shower, actually. Open a shop. Well, it wouldn't go away. That thought just would not go away. I thought the town's too small. There's no way it's big enough for a bookshop. And I said to my husband, I'm going to open a shop. And he said, well, you have to have something that people want to buy. Because, of course, he just wasn't into it. He thought I was, like, a little bit loopy. And, but as it turns out, very quickly, within a few weeks, I had, in fact, done the rounds, gone from place to place to place. Where I originally wanted to open my shop wasn't possible, and ended up being given a really good deal by the local real estate agent. Opened a little shop. Started with very little stock and very little funds to open it up. I did it very basically. Got my friends and family to help me put it together. It was quite rustic, but it had a really great feel to it, and people loved it. Anyway, back to the story. Anyway, the thought of the offer from the Reiki master, it just wouldn't leave my mind. So I decided I might as well sell. And as it turns out, that happened very quickly as well. But I needed to have something else to do. So the night before I actually closed the door on the shop, I flicked through the local New Age Nova magazine that we have here in Western Australia. And looking for something else that I could do, I decided I'd like to learn some form of healing. Kinesiology was on my mind, and flicked through and found several courses, and then went back to have a look and choose which one would jump out, and none jumped out at me. But what did jump out was this colour therapy diploma course with a lady called Noelle Levin. And as it turns out, the course had already started, but I went and had an interview with Noelle, and was accepted into her course and began a 2-year diploma with her. And I had to travel from my hometown in Dongra to Perth once a month for these workshops, which went for 12 months, and then there was another year after that of case studies and thesis and what have you. Anyhow, that's what I did. I just became passionate with that, and that year that I travelled back and forward in my little old bomb, no air conditioning, no radio, a window that didn't wind up properly. Through thick or thin, it didn't matter. I was going. This absolutely became my passion. And to be honest, I didn't even really know a lot of what she was talking about. It was all brand new to me. I hadn't heard of Ascended Masters. A lot of it was just really so new and so foreign, and yet something was just like really holding me there. And I fell pregnant that year as well, and it gets pretty hot here in Western Australia, and I would be driving fully laden with baby, 8 months pregnant with baby or whatever, in my little old bomb, all the way to Perth, 5 hours, chug, 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 to do this course, and in like 40-degree heat sometimes. It was pretty hot, no air conditioning, but it was what I really wanted to do, and that is the truth. When you want to do something, no matter how uncomfortable or difficult things can be, you will do it. And I did, and have never looked back since. When I completed the colour therapy diploma with Noelle, I knew probably quite a while. I thought I could do this. I could take this on. Now the course was affiliated with the International Association of Colour in the UK. Noelle was nearly 80. She was retiring. She didn't want to go on with it. She had more or less pointed out that she thought that I would be the one that would continue on with this, and she encouraged me, and she was going to move back to the UK, and she wasn't going to be doing it anymore. So I did. I just put together a curriculum, sent it off to the UK to see if they would accept it. They did, and then I was like, oh my God, you know, I've actually put this curriculum together. Now I have to literally pull it together and get a group together. And I was scared. I was really scared. It was like, who do you think you are to think that you can do this? So I, you know, gathered myself together and faced the fear and put an ad in the New Age magazine, the Nova. By this stage, by the way, I had moved to Perth with my kids, and my husband and I had separated, and I'd moved to Perth with the kids, and I put it in the local New Age paper, the Nova, and I had a really great response, and I ran an introductory day, and I think there were 25 people there, and all 25 people signed up for the course, and I was like, oh my God, now I really have to have something to offer them, not just talk, because basically I was just talking to them about colour. So what I did was I wrote my curriculum as I did it, and each week I would write my lesson plan and pull it together each week. So the first year, I did every Friday, I think it was, following school terms for a full year. So the first year was putting it together. So each week I would write the lesson plan for what was on my curriculum, and got through the first year like that. So all the years after that, of course, the work was already done, and all I did was fine-tuning, added a bit of this and added a bit of that, and took a bit of this off and took a bit of that off, and so on and so forth, until, you know, I did that for, I think, 4 years, teaching the full diploma course, and wow, it was absolutely amazing. And there's a huge story that goes with all of that and what came after that, which is really very exciting. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about colour. So what I want to do is really spark your passion with colour. We worked with all sorts of things. We worked with crystals. We worked with aromatherapy oils. We worked with the Ascended Masters, with the angels, with coloured silks. Gosh, I could go on and on. Chromotherapy with the coloured lamps. So many things, because everything is colour. Everything is colour. Just look out the window. You know, look outside now, and the colour in nature. It's everywhere. And look around your home and your furnishings, and there's just colour everywhere. Actually, I'm going to tell you another funny story. People assumed that because I was a colour therapist that I had or I would have like this big, amazing home filled with all sorts of colour and stuff. But, you know, I've really lived quite humbly most of my life. So material possessions have not really, apart from when I was married. When I was married, you know, I had all the comforts of home. But since then, I've lived very humbly, and have learned to live without material possession, and a lot of the time, you know, the last 4 or 5 years at least, you know, I've been on the move. So pretty much for me, what I wanted to move into was to work with colour without having to have the tools, because I knew that my life was going to be on the move, and I didn't want to have to be lugging things with me. I didn't want to have to, you know, take all these tools with me. It was like, oh my gosh, it was just such a headache to think, oh, but how am I going to do all this? And, you know, a big part of colour therapy, the way I taught it, and what I think was most powerfully what opened me to my spiritual acceleration, and is going to be what opens you to your spiritual acceleration and stepping you onto your path, is working with colour purely as an energy, through the breath, through visualization. And let's face it, you don't need any tools. You don't need the crystals, you don't need the lamps, you don't need the silks, you don't need the oils, you don't need anything. You just need you. And wherever you go, you have colour therapy with you. No matter what you do, you breathe it, you smell it, you taste it, you feel it. And that is the colour therapy that I want to talk about. Sure, you know, you can go further. I'm not teaching you the diploma course. That's not what I'm here to teach you. Really, I'm just here to share with you some simple techniques that are exceptionally powerful. So powerful, they're just going to open you up to parts of yourself that you just didn't know you had, you know. So that's what I want to do. I really want to open you to the passion that is deep within you, and so that when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you think is colour. The first thing you taste is colour. The first thing you smell is colour. Might not be such a nice colour, but you know, every single thing. So we're going to have some fun with this course. And I'm doing the same thing again, basically. I'm really going to work with you and hoping that you will be carefree, you know, be willing to be inspired in the moment and literally be in the moment. You know, forget about yesterday, forget about tomorrow. All we're doing is right here, right now. Today's the only thing you need to be concerned with, and what turns up today. It's got a colour to it. It's bright or it's dull. It's, you know, and if it's dull, hey, you know what? You're going to have the tools to change that dullness. That's what we're going to do. So, from me, it's see you later, and we're going to have some fun. Catch you later. See ya. Bye.